It's time to have an honest conversation about it. If you're not ready for this conversation, you can save this video for a time that you are ready, or you can check out any of my other holistic healing and natural healing videos. I talk about a ton of different topics. This is a very, very controversial topic in the conscious parenting community. So many people are confused about whether or not we should give our children red dyes, if this is actually a big deal, if it's actually serious. And other people are confused as to why people are giving their kids red dyes. So I'm here to share my personal testimonial as someone who used to eat red dyes as a child and ate them my whole entire life and stopped eating them. I had a pretty traumatic experience that I'm going to share with you here in this video, and I hope that this experience helps you make the best decision for yourself and for your family. I'm definitely not trying to sway you in any direction. I want everyone to make the most empowered possible choice for them, and that's why it's so valuable to be able to hear stories like this and hear people's personal testimonials so that we can make the best choice for us. As a child, my parents gave me food with red dyes in them. There wasn't really conversations about this in the circles that my parents were in. So it wasn't even a conversation. They didn't think about it. My parents ate red candies as they grew up. They ate red foods, red ice cream, things like that. So of course they gave it to us as children. I ended up growing up with a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression, I just kind of knew that something was off, but I didn't know exactly what that was. When I would talk to people about it, they would say that this was normal. When I would talk to my family members about it, other family members said that they felt the same way and they just dealt with it. So why wasn't I just dealing with it better? I went to therapy and I learned a lot of skills that really, really helped me. And I didn't feel entirely better, so I continued my healing journey. I've been 100% committed to my healing journey, and I did a lot of parasite cleanses, I did a lot of plant medicine, I did a lot of really, really extreme things for the sake of healing. And when you're doing these sorts of things, one of the requirements, if you haven't kind of caught on by what I'm saying, is that you have to do some fasting. You might not eat the foods that you're used to eating for a prolonged period of time. And for me, it was like 6 months to a year at a time minimum. So I got to experience what my body felt like without having these dye chemicals in my system. Once I was finished with my fasting, I was so excited to eat my favorite candies from my childhood. I wanted to soothe my inner child and reward my inner child for going through all of that really, really hard lifestyle stuff. So I pigged out on red candies. All of the red candies that I knew that I missed from my childhood, that I knew would like really, really deeply soothe my soul. And it was like all of my progress that I had made went down the drain. For the next 3 to 4 days, I did not just feel a little bit depressed. I did not just feel a little bit anxious or hyperactive or unable to focus. I felt like leaving this planet. And after spending so many years healing my depression and not feeling that way, I could see that it was this dye. The dye was making me feel so not myself. I learned my lesson. I stopped eating that candy. I went immediately back to an extreme cleanse protocol because I was fighting for my life at this point. And the reason that I had such an extreme reaction to these candies is because my system was so healthy and clear. I personally don't know anyone who's done the amount of cleansing and ceremonial lifestyle practices that I had done. So my system was not used to any toxins at all, and then I gave it some of that red dye and I was able to immediately feel the effects and the symptoms of this chemical right away. I'm a super sensitive person, and that's also why I could feel the effects much more than someone who maybe isn't so sensitive. What I've learned is that red dye is not going to affect everyone the same way. It's not going to have such an extreme and drastic reaction in someone for every single person. But I've also learned throughout my years of being a holistic healer and a holistic health coach that when someone stops drinking Gatorade, stops having those dyed candies and those dyed foods, their meditations are so much different. Your brain actually changes. So whether you're going to say that it's because of the dye that's making our brains slower, whatever it is, I've noticed a pattern amongst thousands and thousands of people, adults that I work with, that when we stop having these dyed foods, we feel more intelligent, we feel more confident, our brain has a greater capacity, we can handle life so much better. So I'll be completely honest, I don't know if red dyes cause ADHD or any of the things that people are saying, but I know after having my personal experience that I could never do that to my body and harm my body in that way. My body is fighting every single day to be its healthiest and best self, and it's up to me to give myself foods that help my body in this challenge rather than hurt my body in this challenge. Throughout my healing journey, I've noticed just how big of a factor neuroscience plays in everything. And I think it's something that we just don't really think about because there wasn't a neuroscience class in school. It wasn't like you went to English, math, neuroscience. So we just don't really think about neuroscience too much. But your brain health is responsible for how you do anything and everything in your life. It's responsible for how your days go, how your family is. Like, your brain health should be your number one priority, and anything that's going to hurt my brain health is not going to be something that I'm going to continue to put into my body. When it comes to things like red dyes or any of these like junk foods and toxins and chemicals and stuff like that, something that I like to always say is the poison is in the dose. So if you eat red foods every single day, maybe cut back slowly. We don't have to make drastic changes in order to see drastic results in our lives. I can completely understand why so many people are so confused about what direction they should go when it comes to dyes, because not all of us have had these kinds of experiences. So a little science, a little data for you is that dyes are actually illegal in every other country other than the US. When you study our food system and when you study the FDA, you can really identify that the quality of food that the US and Americans exposes the public to is so much lower than everywhere else in the world. I've seen so much progress from eating a diet that is so well balanced and healthy and allows me to eat literally whatever I want, minus the chemicals, minus the things that hurt my brain. So I still crave candies. I still love red candies, but now I make sure to buy them from places that I know don't use red dyes. Maybe they're international places, and there's also a few stores within the US, like Trader Joe's is notorious for having lots of like gummy snacks and candies that little kids would really enjoy, and they're all dye free. So there's so many workarounds and there's so many solutions to this. Being dye free does not mean that you have a boring life by any means, but it can mean that you have a little bit more control over your mind and that you just feel a little bit healthier mentally, physically, spiritually, and in every way.